Hi, lovely and darling viewers. It's Jen here at Check Her Joy, and this time I'm doing a top 10 list. And I am doing 10 television shows that I watch around Halloween or that I get like a desire to watch. So these have like monsters or a creepy feel to them, something that my mind associates with Halloween. And for this list, I have done like entire television series that I think fit this list, as opposed to shows that have like really good Halloween episodes. I feel like that's probably going to be a different list. So in the past, I have done my favorite Halloweenish books and my favorite Halloweenish movies, and I'll post links to those videos down in the description below if you want to check those out. So first up, honorable mention goes to The Simpsons for their Trias of Horror episodes, but it's not the entire show, so it's not list proper. That makes sense. So the first entry on my list proper is Transylvanian Television or Transylvania TV. So I just found this show on Hoopla and I did not know it exists. It's also available on Amazon Prime. And this is a comedy show, like a skit show, but with puppets. It is not child appropriate though. Some of this humor gets very crude and sexual and alluding to violence, although never really all that gory because it's puppets. So the main characters in this show is the vampire LeShock, who is like the runner of the television station. And we've got the Orange Yeti Ackerman and Batfink, who is a bat. We've got Dwayne, Frankenstein's monster, and just basically a collection of supernatural creatures and monsters that run this television that run a television channel, like network, and are just trying to get better ratings and stuff, and it's really funny what they come up with for their show. So anyway, I just find this show really funny. I love the skits they come up with, the way that they parody other things, like there's one with the Twilight Zone, which is just hysterical. Obviously, as with most skit shows, some of the skits are better than others, but I am definitely enjoying this one. Too bad I can only find like 6 episodes, which is so sad. We need more. Next up on my list is Bewitched. This is a sitcom from the 60s that focuses on Samantha, who is a witch who marries a mortal, Darren, and she tries to do without witchcraft because he is totally freaked out by the fact that he married a witch. However, most of the time Samantha ends up doing magic anyway, especially when her mother Endora shows up and kind of prods her along. So there's plenty of magic and crazy hijinks happening in this show, and I super love it. I love the entire cast of characters and everyone in it, and I really love Samantha and Darren's relationship. It's really sweet and cute. And of course, magical hijinks. In a similar vein, I have The Munsters, which is also a television sitcom from, I think, the 60s. This focuses on a family of monsters who just are trying to live a normal life and don't really see themselves as being bizarre. So we have Herman, who is Frankenstein's monster, and his wife. I can't remember if his wife is a vampire or her father is just. I know the grandfather is a vampire. Their son is a werewolf, and then they've got their niece, Marilyn, who's living with them, and she's just a typical normal teenager, but she feels out of place because the rest of her family, like, her idea of what normal isn't everybody else's, so she doesn't feel normal even though she, like, is. I love the hijinks in the show and, like, magic and stuff happening. Like, the grandfather does spells. They have a pet dragon. It's adorable. Love this family. In case you can't tell, I have a soft spot for magic and witches. So the next one on my list is Sabrina the Teenage Witch. So this is a teen comedy from the 90s based off the Archie comics and the character of Sabrina Spellman. We start following Sabrina on her 16th birthday when she first learns that she's a witch and she can do magic, and her aunts Hilda and Zelda try to teach her. She also has a familiar in Salem who can talk. He's an ex-wizard who is being punished for trying to take over the world and is now trapped as a cat body. So I love Salem just trying to help Sabrina all the time and give her guidance, but some of it's maybe not the best guidance. I also love Sabrina and her boyfriend Harvey, like their relationship, their on again, off again stuff. Yep. I've also recently found my Babysitter's a Vampire. This is a Canadian teen sitcom, and it focuses on this small town where weird things start happening. In particular, there's like a vampire attack, and several members of this class turn into vampires. Basically, we have this one teenager who has a younger sibling, and he's supposed to be watching her, but it goes completely disastrous. So his mom gets a babysitter to watch the younger sister, which is one of the girls in his class. And when she's babysitting, there's like a vampire attack, and she becomes a vampire, and her best friend and one of their other friends become vampires. And we find out that the kid is a seer, and that his best friend and next door neighbor is a witch, warlock, wizard. So lots of crazy supernatural characters, but also just teenagers trying to have normal lives while facing crazy supernatural situations. It's a really funny show, and I adore it. Another fun, spooky show is the Twilight Zone. This is basically a bunch of smaller short films that have spooky, creepy connotations and stuff. They're kind of what-if scenarios. So, like, there's an episode with this guy who gets, like, survives the apocalypse, and he's got a library, and it's awesome. He can read books forever. And then the twist is that he breaks his glasses, and, like, no, what if you had all the time in the world to read everything, and then you can't because you can't physically see the books? And the most famous one involves kind of our concept of beauty, called Eye of the Beholder. So it's got some really awesome gems in the show. I'm also a fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which I've only recently started watching. This focuses on Buffy Summers, who is like the chosen one. It is her destiny to slay vampires, and she moves to this town where there is like a large vampire population, and she is always at war with the vampires. And she's got her really awesome mentor Giles, who is a school librarian, and her best friend's Willow, and just all of them together. Also, other crazy things happen. Not every episode is vampire-centric, but I adore it. More teen fun, and a little bit spooky and creepy, but some of them are creepier than others, honestly. But on the whole, I enjoy watching the show. I also really enjoy Jekyll, which is a BBC show, and it follows Dr. Jekyll as he experiments and ends up creating this potion that turns him into this other, scarier, more base version of himself. I can't remember if he's actually called Hyde in the show or not. It's been a while since I watched it. But this show is particularly creepy and gory and bloody. So if you like that kind of scare tactics, this show has it. I particularly enjoy the fact that Jekyll is married, and he has a wife and a family, and he's trying to balance being the normal father, husband, with kind of scientific advancement and what's actually happening to him, and the horrors of what the other side of him is doing. So I really love Jekyll. I totally need to rewatch it though. It's been a few years since I watched this. Okay, rewatch time. I also think of True Blood as being a particularly Halloween-y show. Honestly, I've only really watched the first 3 seasons of this, so I haven't watched all of it. This follows Sookie Stackhouse, who is a mind reader, and she lives in a world where vampires are coming out in the open. There is this new synthetic blood that they can drink, so now there are just vampires around. And what happens, I love watching like the society and how everybody deals with that in the first seasons. We also have kind of these bloodier, gruesomer bits to it, and getting to see vampire politics as like there's a social hierarchy with the vampires and who's in charge, and definitely it's got sex and blood in it. Sookie has got quite a few suitors in the supernatural ranks, and we get to see like her brother, who's kind of normal, and how he's dealing with everything. Pretty much I'm awesome with the show until they start going into like the land of the fairies, and I'm like, what is happening? Why do we need fairies? You've already got vampires and werewolves. Why do we need to go do something else? Like, can we please take it back to Louisiana, please? My final pick is Penny Dreadful, and honestly, I've only watched 3 episodes of this show. It is super creepy and bloody and gory and scary, and it's definitely like at the edge of my comfort zone. I have to be in like the right mood to watch this with like all the lights on. This show freaks me out. So basically, this is based off the concept of a penny dreadful, which is like a Victorian writing genre, which are all these serialized short stories about really gruesome and horrific gothic type stories. In the story in particular, they take kind of vampires and werewolves and Frankenstein's monster, but having all of these spooky supernatural characters that we're familiar with from stories intertwined with each other, navigating Victorian London together, and it's definitely creepy and horror. It's definitely a horror show. Part of me is like enthralled with all the gruesome gore of the show, which I think is part of its appeal. And the other part of me is like, this is too much. And it's bad when you want to watch a show, but you're also watching it like through your fingers. So this one's on my list, but I don't know that I necessarily recommend it for everyone. And clearly I need to rewatch more of these since I can only vaguely remember plot points. It does have some really awesome actors in it. Particularly I started watching it because Billie Piper's in it from Doctor Who, so yeah. Okay, so this list kind of went away from me. I did not know these shows as well as I thought I did. Clearly I need to rewatch them. Let me know in the comments below what kind of television shows do you guys watch around Halloween? And have you watched any of these? Do you love them or hate them? And do you have any other Halloween suggestions for me? So in case you can't tell, I am majorly excited for Halloween and love the supernatural, magical aspects of it. Peace out. I love you guys. Keep reading and watching television. Happy Halloween and see ya. Hopefully. No, I'm just joking. I'll see you guys later. Bye.